Hello?
Hey people, I'm Terry Bluez and I want to welcome you to Black Gift TV. Make sure you subscribe to the channel by clicking the icon below. Black Gift TV is your one-stop shop for colored content. It is the official channel for the Four Color Man podcast and the Dean's List streaming series. You also find music, stand-up comedy, and short film works. And if you like the content, make sure you visit www.blackgiftcreative.com, the official sponsor for the Four Color Man podcast merch. Now, let's start the show.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
You want to know what? It's funny, man, because like right now I'm up in Minnesota, and it's where I work at is a liberal arts college, small liberal arts college. But every seminar, every lecture, every talk, every group tank, whatever, is about diversity and inclusion, right? And we actually had a seminar about this, and I want to get the guy on the podcast. His name is Dr. Jamie Washington.
Yeah.
But basically he goes around to like schools, businesses, all those types of things, and gives these seminars on basically teaching white people how not to be racist, right? Like, but not negating what he's saying, because it's really legit. But one of the things he said is about like you mentioned the glass ceiling, right? It's lower than you, and he talked about like what diversity is versus what diversity should be, and diversity is focused on the demographic, what's our perceptions, right? But real diversity is like, wait a second, because we had the statistic of, I think there's 42% of students of color there now, which is a huge increase from like 10 years ago.
Right.
But the school average for graduation is like 92 or 93%. Don't get me wrong, I'm quoting that, but it's in the mid 90s, mid to low 90s, right? But the graduation rate for African American students is like 83%.
Yeah.
So there's a gap, and they talk about that gap being actual understanding of what somebody else's experience is. Like, yeah, we've let you in, but then it's still like, oh, we let you in, but do I feel comfortable here? You know what I mean?
And to take it to the next level is that's, there's a lot of initiative with that, with Title IX. I think they probably talk to death about Title IX at your school. I know they do at mine and at other institutions I've been at. I think, your focus for what we talk about, is kind of talking about the struggle of being an academic, right? And I think one of the bigger challenges is that we're telling these students, like, you can come in here and we can create this room for you. And that's hard. But then it's like, we're saying that, and then we're going to our faculty meetings and we're going to our administrative stuff, and there aren't people of color. They're saying they want diversity and inclusion, but if you look at the actions, it's a lot slower than the lip service. It's one of those things where I've got a large percentage of white people telling me how we need to have diversity and inclusion and be more open to people and have our faculty look more like more representative of the students' population. And I sit there and I kind of look at it and I go like, yeah, that's cool. So like, are y'all going to give me like a full-time job, or what's going on here? And they're like, oh yeah, that's like really important to us. Okay, well, how does it work? Well, we don't really have that all worked out yet, Well, get in your door into those interviews. Well, and that's something that I keep seeing over and over again, is that we're like in an infancy age of what I call D&I. I call it D&I, diversity and inclusion. Where it's a great buzzword. There's a lot of cheerleading behind it right now. People, if they say D&I around town in the academic circles, people get all like, oh man, these people are progressive. And I'm like, okay, I'm cool with this. I'm fine with people throwing around D&I. But what are your actions saying? What is your official policy saying? You know, are you saying this because you're afraid of getting sued, or are you saying this because you genuinely want to engage? You know, one of the things I was talking to faculty and administrators about a bunch of universities, not just, you know, the one I'm at right now, is I'm saying, hey, you all say y'all want D&I, right? Now, when y'all go and recruit top tier professors to come and teach, you all incentivize them. You fly them down here, you buy them steaks, you tell them how you're going to give them this and give them that. I'm like, if we're talking about equity instead of equality, when you're doing those kinds of hires, how are you going to incentivize African American professors, Latino professors to be coming in to your spaces and feeling comfortable and feeling welcomed and feeling part of the culture, and that your culture is being recognized? I don't have to sit here and become you in order to be here, but that there is an open culture, an open dialogue that allows for otherness to occur, and it not be a situation where they're telling people to change the way they are, to blend in a little bit, change the way you talk. Change, that's cool. You talk to the students like that, but when we're here, can you talk like this? Oh, that's cool that you like to dress that way, but when you come to the faculty meetings, can you wear this?
Yo, you know what's funny? Yeah, I told her, I was like, yo, you were one of my early influences on not giving a fuck. And just being you, because I was like, yo, he was like, yo, my man came to class with shorts and a t-shirt and a mohawk and made it a point to say, look, I ain't putting on no goddamn flex. Fuck you.
I recently heard somebody tell me, that kind of had some insider about my last job, and they were like, Joe, if you really like, if you had just wore pants and a tie and stuff, like, you probably would have been okay. And I was like, yeah, I probably would have been okay, but fuck that. Like, what does that really mean? Like, what are we really doing then? Like, are you paying me to look a certain way? Or are you paying me for my mind? Are you paying me for the way in which I teach people, and for my student teacher surveys, and for the employment that I'm getting these students when they graduate? Are you paying me to look like you?
Yo, and I made this point in a previous podcast, and I forgot who I was interviewing when we talked about this. And I think that I had this discussion with a few of my friends, but like, we talked about like how we dress for work, right? And like, currently I look for, when I got this job, I looked for a dress code, and I couldn't find one. I asked my supervisor, yo, is there? He's like, nah, there's not one. Yada, 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 business casual. But so like the first week I was there, I was dressed to the T. But then I started seeing other people, and they were like just in shorts, and I was like, all right, cool. So I could just do whatever I want. But I asked a few of my Black colleagues in higher education, and like Yaki and Kid and all those guys, and they always like, they dress in a like, you know what I mean? Like,
I feel like they like to dress up. They're fashion-centric people.
Yeah, I was about to say, his sneaker game, his sneaker to dashiki game is, that's just fire, son.
Yeah.
That's just fire. But I asked, like, yo, are we dressing for ourselves? Or are we dressing to impress them?
Right.
And it's to each his own, but sometimes I feel like I'm doing it for them. But you were always one of those people who was like, man, be you. Because and what I always loved about it, because I said this, I was like, you were like, yo, I have my PhD, I've done this. Who gives a fuck how I dress? I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I was like, tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me, how the students are learning. Even if students were complaining about the way I dressed, I'm like, tell me how they're not getting a job based off this. Tell me how their education is suffering from this. Explain this to me. Y'all are all about quantitative data. Give me some quantitative data about how my visual appearance is offending you to the point of affecting your ability to learn. And it was a joke. It was a joke, man. They just want you to look. I mean, yeah, I could go on and on about it. But I showed up here to A&M and I went into orientation and then I went to the department meeting, and I was wondering, I wore shorts and shirt to the faculty orientation, the campus wide one. I was like, I don't care. And, I talked to the provost and to like all those people, and, cause I know it's like, look, if y'all find me interesting for my mind, you're not going to even be thinking about what I look like. If we're working at that level, then that means I want to be here. That means I want to work with you. It's also a test in that way that I'm not looking for somebody to be into me for what I look like or what I drive or anything like that. I want people in there because they see that I care and that I'm trying to make an impact on students. Like that's what I'm here for. And so I went to my departmental meeting, and a woman brought up, like, it was kind of winding down, and I think they were trying to kill time. They were like, hey, why don't we talk about dress code for a second? I was like, uh-oh. I'm like, and she's like, this is a business casual environment. You're going to need to wear, appropriate clothing and blah, 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 and kind of went on for like 5 minutes to kind of close out that session,
Mm-hmm.
And it was everybody. It was like faculty and then the PhDs, and I was like, man, dude, like, I don't know if I can work here now. I'm serious, man. I'm like, seriously, like, I don't, you're already making me drive 3 hours a week to get here. And so I seriously raised my hand, and I was like, at the next meeting that we were in, and I was like, hey, like, y'all are talking about this dress code. Is that for real? And they're like, oh, no, we were just trying to kill time. Like, you can wear whatever you want. Like, you're fine right now in shorts and a T-shirt. I'm like, okay, good. Because, like, man, I was about to walk out. And I tell them that. I'm like, because I was about to, like, say I can't work here. And they were like, oh, whoa. And I'm like, yeah, like, that's seriously how detrimental this is to me, because, I have to be comfortable when I work. I have to like be able to present myself in the way that I present. Like, people talk about having like a cultural sensitivity. It's like, well, have a cultural sensitivity to me. And if you think that that's arrogant, or you think that that's self-focused or this or that, like, look at what I'm wearing. Okay. I'm wearing Old Navy and swim trunks. Okay. This isn't rocket science.
Hello.